Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the different types of data analytical models you can build using Microsoft Excel. If you have been following my channel, you would have seen that I make a lot of videos on data analytics and I've covered most of the topics that I'll be talking about here in those videos where you can have detailed step-by-step instruction videos on how to implement those concepts using Microsoft Excel. So you can take a look at that in my channel. I will leave a link to the playlist in the description. So what we'll be discussing today is, first of all, what are the different types of data analysis? So there are broadly three different types of data and analysis categories. That is descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. Let's take a look at one by one to get a further idea on what does it mean. So descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics is nothing but you try to summarize your data, try to get an overarching view of what happened in your data. You look at the data, see what happened, and summarize the historical data. So you can try to get insights and trends, but basically you're trying to find out what happened or what is your current data telling you. Predictive analytics is from what you have learned from your data, from your historical data, can you identify some patterns and trends, and can you use that to try to predict the future, to predict some future values. So predictive analytics, basically you have statistical modeling where you use statistical models to predict the future. You can understand the trends, what happened in the past, and anticipate future trends, and you can use that to make proactive decisions, okay, by understanding the past trends. And finally, we have prescriptive analytics. This analytics involves taking some action to improve the outcome. Okay, so you have understood what your data is telling you using descriptives. You are trying to predict the future using predictive analytics, and in prescriptive analytics, you are actually giving a solution to achieve the specific goal or improve the outcome. So there are different ways you can actually perform the action. There are optimization techniques to identify the most optimal way of achieving an outcome or implementing a solution, and simulation methods to also find out what are the outcomes for different possible actions that you have taken. So this comes in prescriptive analytics. Now let's dive deeper one by one into each. So first, we'll talk about descriptive analytics. So again, I made a lot of videos on these. You can find them on my channel if you want to learn them and you want to practice along them. Basically, in descriptive analytics, we have measures of central tendencies such as mean, median, mode. This basically tells you, gives you some idea or your overall summary of your data. So, for example, mean tells you the average value of a particular data. So, for example, the salary, the average income. The median will tell you the middle value of the data set. Okay, so for especially data sets that are skewed, you can get the median value, and the mode tells you the most frequently repeated value. So by understanding the mean, median, and mode of your numerical values, you can get an idea of your data set. Then we have measures of dispersion, such as range, variance, and standard deviation. This tells you how spread your data is. For example, if I have a mean income of say rupees 10 or dollars 10, what is my range? What is the highest income or the lowest income? And also, what is the standard deviation? For example, the standard deviation tells you how much each individual data point varies from the mean. So if my mean is 10, but I have a high standard deviation, which means my data is more uh, dispersed. Now you can use your tools in Excel to do your descriptive analytics. You can use useful tools such as pivot tables. You can use formulas. You can use even Power Query. I've shown all these concepts in different videos. I have explained even descriptive and analytics in a video using a Power BI. You can take a look at that on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description. So basically, you can summarize the data, use histograms, bar charts, and all the features in Excel to get your overall summary of your data by doing descriptive analytics. Next is predictive analytics. So especially in Microsoft Excel, there are different types of predictive analytics when you use tools like Python or any statistical modeling tool. But in Excel primarily we use linear regression. Okay, and I've made a lot of videos of linear regression and understanding the metrics and the accuracy and how to use it. So take a look at that on my channel. But basically, linear regression can be used to predict a continuous outcome. So basically, for example, say I have a person's age and I want to study the relationship with the salary. So if I know a person's age and by knowing his age, can I predict what will be his income? Also, I can use this for two or more variables. Say I know a person's age and qualifications, and I want to predict his salary. So you can use Excel for analysis. You can use the Excel analytical tool pack for this, and then you can also interpret your results, as I've shown in my multiple videos, how to understand R squared and the other metrics to understand the linear regression and use it for predictive analytics. But remember, linear regression is used to predict continuous variables. For example, I can predict the salary, the rent, but it has to be continuous variables. If I want to predict categorical variables, or I want to do classification tasks, then I can do the powerful logistic regression. Excel will not have a default tool for doing that, but I've made a video on how you can use the logistic regression in Excel. You can take a look at that. It's a detailed video with step-by-step instructions on how to do logistic regression in Excel. But basically, logistic regression helps you classify. So you can use it for in the healthcare or the medical industry for doing a binary outcome classification. For example, if I know all the patient detail, what is the outcome? Can I predict if he's going to have a specific disease or not? If I know the customer data, can I predict whether a customer churn is likely or not? So I can answer yes no questions, or I can do a binary classification using logistic regression. But again, both of these are predictive and analytical models. We can also do use forecasting. For example, I know the historical sales data, and by using forecasting and trend methods, I want to predict the future sales. I can also use it for predicting, as I mentioned, customer churn activity using logistic regression. Now let's take a look at prescriptive analytics in Excel. So we have covered descriptive and analytics, where we learn about our data and the historical representation of our data. Then we use predictive analytics, where we use the historical data to make predictions about the future. And finally, we use prescriptive analytics, where we try to understand our data, group them into certain categories, and then prescribe a solution or optimize the outcome using our data. So for one such example is called cluster analysis, where cluster analysis helps you to group similar kind of data points into one group. This is typically known as the unsupervised machine learning technique if you are from the machine learning background. So say, for example, I have a lot of customer data, and I pass it to a clustering algorithm. It will basically segregate this data into different groups, where each group will have similar data points. This will help me identify customers of similar nature, or I can also do product segmentation, where I can identify products of similar nature. And by knowing the groups with similar characteristics or properties, I can help improve my sales or any other targeted marketing. So this is a kind of cluster analytics. So I can prescribe what kind of solutions my customer wants, or what kind of products they want, by understanding the of different groups of customers or products. Finally, we also have optimizing techniques. You can use the Excel solver to find best optimal solution. As I mentioned, in prescriptive analytics, you can also use optimizing techniques or simulations to find out the best possible solution to improve your outcome, or also what are the different kinds of simulations you can run, so that for different actions taken, what are the different outcomes. For example, you can use market segmentation, okay, to segment the markets into the different groups of customers that are related. You can also use this for resource allocation and practical business applications as well. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did like this video, do leave a like and a comment on the video, and subscribe to my channel. I left a link to the playlist which contains all the videos for all these concepts which I've covered in detail, and you can see them and learn about these concepts and how to implement them in Microsoft Excel. Thank you.